Throughout history, free thinkers have outraged the religious with their wacky ideas about the virtues of free speech, reason, and of course, eating babies. Now, God is dying, and it's time to dispose of his remains. From the pits of hell, Satan sends two puppets of the imperialist West and the Zionist Jews against God, Islam, and tiny kittens to bring you their propaganda and conspire for a new world order. This is Secular Jihadists for a Muslim Enlightenment with Ali Rizvi and Armin Navabi.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Secular Jihadists for a Muslim Enlightenment. My name is Ali Rizvi and with me is Armin Navabi. Armin, how are you?
Good.
And Armin's actually coming to us from the UK today, and I am in Oklahoma, of all places. So this month, you're going to see just a quick programming note that you are going to be seeing independent episodes. You may have already heard Armin's amazing episode with Ali Dawa, where he spoke to him at Speaker's Corner, the Islamic preacher, which was, that's something not to be missed. So make sure you check that out. And we're going to be doing some of these.
The audio gets better. At the beginning, the audio is shit, but the more you listen, the audio gets better at the 20 minutes in. But if we get more patrons, I will be able to get better equipment and better microphones and better cameras. So. Oh,
but it's still worth listening to it.
Ali, am I allowed to use our patron money to buy equipment for stuff like this?
You need to whatever. Yeah,
okay.
Of course you are.
Okay.
And the thing is, like Ali Dawa has been messaging me a lot. He's not happy with a lot of things that happened, which makes it even more fun. But in any case, it was a very good conversation. But anyway, I want to move on to today. So today we have a very, very important guest. Many of you may remember some time ago that there was a video out on Egyptian national TV, right? And you saw this on Memory TV. There was an atheist, a young, very handsome atheist on a television show, speaking to the host and this sort of Islamic scholar named Sheikh Mahmoud. And he declared on Egyptian national TV that he is an atheist. He said, I don't believe in God. And he was trying to have a rational conversation. And the other guys just flipped. And one of them was like, what do you mean? You're an Arab. Why don't you believe in God? You are, where did you come from? How did you become a human being? And they asked him, have you seen a psychiatrist? And he was trying to explain, well, there are many theories for, I'm not going to go into it. We're going to link to the video in this clip, and you should check it out. So what happened was after that, Mohamed Hisham, which is his name, and he's our guest today, he was thrown off the show. He was asked to see a psychiatrist. He was beaten at home. He was threatened constantly, got death threats, and he was facing jail time. He was essentially on the run. And kudos to Troy Garnaut, who started up a campaign to get him out of Egypt, right? And it was a successful campaign, and it was supported by many people that we know, including Sam Harris, who's been on the show before, and our very own Armin Navabi, who's sitting here, and he's on the show right now. So we were able to get Mohammed out of Egypt. He was able to escape, and now he is he's in Europe. He is at a refugee center. So yes, I know, and yeah, he's in Germany. He's at a refugee center, so you might hear some background noise from time to time because that is the life of a refugee. And Mohammed, are you liking it so far compared to what you had before?
Yeah, I like it. It's definitely safer. I'm not afraid for my life as much as I used to be. There is good things where no fear of being imprisoned, all stuff that I don't have to worry about anymore. But there is also bad stuff where right now, for instance, I'm also being closeted as a gay person, as an ex-Muslim, because I'm with people who came from the same background that I came from, Arabic, Muslim, stuff like that. So I have to be careful about the things that I say about myself. I introduce myself as a normal Muslim straight man, and that's
wow. Wait, so even in Germany right now, because you're in a refugee center, you're in the closet about your atheism, and you're still in the closet about being gay in Germany.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't think that it's gonna be
And
You,
the
you
reason
didn't
for
think
that,
you didn't expect that when you
No,
okay.
never.
Wow.
the reason for that, I'm assuming, like, as you're saying, is that you are in the refugee center. You're at, your roommates and the other people who are there are from the same background as you, as in they're probably Muslim, they're straight men, and they would judge you.
Yeah, I would say best case scenario, I might get bullied and outcasted. Worst case scenario, it might get physical. So I try to stay away from like unnecessary trouble. And German government like adapt policies where they simply try to be blind to religion, race, everything, like all the conflicts between people back in the Middle East. They try to adapt a policy where like they are blind to all of that. So they would put like, I don't know, somebody who is like a very strict Muslim with somebody who's gay, with somebody who's like an atheist, and like I think if trouble happened or fights happened or whatever, they might transfer people or things like that. But they do not give like as far as I can, as my experience, like there is no special protection or anything. So I have to live with the pressures of being like closeted about like my beliefs, my sexual orientation.
Okay, but what does that say about who is Germany letting in? If somebody that didn't feel safe in Egypt to be gay and atheist openly is now not feeling safe again in Germany to be openly gay and atheist, what does that, and this is what does that say about the people in the refugee area, and what does that say about the people that are coming in? And like, isn't that a huge red flag about the status of the values that these refugees are bringing into Germany?
Yeah, I think so, because like I think they will have to have some sort of integration processes and things like they need to learn how to accept other people and things like that.
Good luck with that.
Usually they are conscious about their status and their asylum cases and stuff like that, so they try to behave. But I think there must be efforts to be done to help with like integrate them better, teach them more about Enlightenment values and things like that.
So if they're on their best behavior because they know that their files are being reviewed, they might not be, if once they get accepted and they're now in Germany, there's a lot of protections then they could enjoy. Maybe after they become German, whatever, they might become, they wouldn't be as well behaved as they used to be when they were in the refugee centers. I mean, you don't feel safe next to these people, even though that right now they're in their best behavior. Imagine once their file gets approved, then they don't have to be on their best behavior anymore.
Yeah, I agree, and I guess that's where our roles come when we try to raise awareness, when we try to change people's minds.
But we're so small compared, like, I mean, like, how many groups out there, like, are spreading Enlightenment values, right? We have the people on one side trying to protect these shitty ideas, and the other ones that are fighting it in such a xenophobic and racist way that they're pushing people more, away from these values than trying to attract them to them. And the people that are actually advocating for Enlightenment values, they're so tiny. By the way, on that note, support us, become a patron today, so that we're not so tiny, because they have so much resources and we're like nothing. Because like honestly, like we're it's so small compared to the problem that you're saying like, oh, people like us. But we're like, what? Like, this is such a massive, it's like standing in front of a train and just holding your hand thinking you could stop it.
But it's gonna, that's how you start. That's unfortunately how you start, and there's a long way to go. Obviously, we can see. But Mohammed, I had a question. you were talking about the integration. So there are actually countries that do that for refugees and immigrants who come from like sort of very culturally different societies, like the Arab world. Or so, does Germany have? Do they have any kind of sessions for you in terms of teaching you about Germany, teaching you about German culture, German history, everything, and trying to integrate these refugees who are here, or does that come at a later stage, or does it not exist at all?
It comes in a later stage. However, I guess whatever they are doing, they need to do more. Like, that's my impression.
What are they doing right now?
They teach about German history. They teach about all of that. And sometimes they actually, I've heard stories of how in schools some refugees tend to express opposition to the ideas that is being presented in these integration courses. So like they don't want to accept them. And then like under the group pressure, the schools and teachers tend to be like not be effective enough at getting the message across. So I guess there should be more interest in that.
I mean, what stops these people to say like, yeah, sure, fine, gay people, okay, and then lie about it and then get in? And like, do you think like somebody that thinks that ex-Muslims should die, that gay people are disgusting? Do you think like just going through a lecture like, yeah, gay people are great, people live this, hold hands and live to each other? Do you really think like a class, like a course like that is just going to come in and then come out of it and be like, okay, now we're not homophobic anymore. Now we think ex-Muslims are A-okay. Like I've seen what these, I became a Canadian citizen, right? Like all we had to go, like it's actually going the opposite, right? Like when we have to read was like, oh, FGM is bad. This is not against Canadian values, and now they're removing that part. They remove that part because it's like they felt like, oh, this is bad. This is against other people's culture. And even in Germany, if like these people don't even have to object, right? They could go through these courses and keep their mouth shut and then get in. But even when they speak out and be like, no, this is bullshit, we don't like gay people, they're still get approved. But imagine for all the ones that are objecting, how many of them still don't like it but keep their mouth shut? Like, I think like the screening process should have came a lot earlier, rather than like letting everybody in and then try to convince them that their ways are bad. Like what the hell's going on? Like, I don't know. Are you afraid of what's happening to Germany, like Mohammed, or is this an exaggeration? I really don't know how bad the situation is.
Well, I mean, people who are immigrants or refugees, they are minority. So they don't have power over laws. They cannot really change the course of the country as far as I know. So that's a good thing. Regarding integration, I guess, like you're saying, we're small. I guess we should get bigger. And yeah, definitely, because it's needed. And the government should be more cautious and conscious about these things because they tend not to care that much about it, I guess.
But they are afraid of pushing these values too much themselves, because then they're going to be accused of not tolerating other people's culture. That's what the government is afraid of. But Ed in the live chat is asking, Mohammed, how confident are you realistically that these integration courses would work?
Well, I did not take them yet.
Okay, let us know.
If they did make very good arguments, I guess it might work. Very, very good arguments and very good logical arguments.
Okay. So I want to say one thing, that in terms of these the integration courses, I know that I think it's Norway and Sweden and some of the Scandinavian countries, they do them, and it has been shown to be effective. So when people come in, if they're told strictly, okay, this is in Norway and Sweden, and I can't remember the exact country. There was one country.
Those countries are better at this though than Germany.
They are. So what they do is they bring people in, they integrate them, and of course there's some resistance, and they just tell them, look, this is in our society. Actually, this is the way it's going to be different from your society. This is the way that we deal with women. Over here, people have LGBTQ people have they have rights. You can't, they teach them about basic things like consent and stuff like that. And apparently it's been quite effective. They started doing that.
Norway,
obviously. Yes. Yeah. No, but I think that if it's that is an example. People have this sort of idealistic notion, this cultural relativistic notion that, why are you trying to convert them to our culture? When I lived in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, when I lived in Saudi Arabia, they used to force us to adhere to their culture. And their culture was objectively, there were terrible ideas because you had, for example, women with less rights than men. Here, they're just doing the opposite. They're telling you that all they're saying is you can live the way you want as long as you let other people live the way they want too. That is not a cultural thing that, okay, we're trying to impose on your culture. You're just saying, hey, there are people here who want to live the lives they lead. You want to live the life you lead, do it. Just don't interfere with what other people are doing, and don't get in the way of them living the way they want. That is a universal value. That's a common sense value. That is not a cultural imposition.
If I was designing the course, instead of going through lectures and stuff, I would just say, like, you have a 6 months period that you have to live with a gay atheist. Okay, each one of these immigrants are going to have a gay atheist roommate. Okay, and that by the end of the 6 months, we're going to ask your roommate whether you were friendly and whether you got along, whether you did
Why
the
would
housework.
You impose that on the poor gay atheists?
No, they would get paid. The gay atheists would get paid.
Poor gay atheists will have to go through that.
No. Okay, but if they're not,
I'm joking.
No,
I love refugees.
Wait, what? Depends on the refugee. I love Mohammed. No. I don't generalize. Anyways, but. I don't love refugees. Okay. But anyways, Mohammed. Okay. So do you get to leave the refugee center? How do you like Germany? Like, do you get to go around, or do you have to stay in the refugee center? Like, and what do you see? Like, what are refugees there like? Like, are they mostly religious, somewhat religious? Have you made friends while being in the closet in the refugee center?
Have you met people like you, actually, at all, so far?
Yeah, I did. Actually, I'm allowed to go around in the state that I live in. I have met many people, many amazing people who are atheists, who are gay, who are like me from even the Middle East. I love it. Like, the situation is good. It's good to find people who share the same misery that I shared, because like then you could really communicate and on a deeper level, I guess. However, I also saw people who are the same kind of people that I was running from in my country.
Right.
Yeah, that's my experience.
How do any of them know, like the people that you were running from in your country who are also refugees with you or immigrants to Germany? Do they know, do any of them at all know who you are and what you are? And what is it like for them? If they do, if that's true, then what is it like for them to know that, okay, now you're here, you're open, and they can't do anything to you?
Well, in the first camp, I was, I made that mistake where, like, I told them everything, about why I need German protection, what happened with me, and why I'm running, and like they wanted debates about religion, and I gave them the debates that they wanted.
Who wanted the debate?
Arabs and Muslims, refugees.
In the first center he was in, yeah.
Yeah, and this didn't end well. Unfortunately, I got bullied. Unfortunately, I got pushed physically. This is my roommate.
Mm-hmm. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, it wasn't very it was tough time. And I'm glad that I didn't stay long in this center, and I got transferred. And since then, I'm very careful about the things that I say to people in there.
What the
Right. So,
This is
so you had
This is a disaster. If somebody in Germany has to watch what they say about their atheism, this is a fucking disaster.
so Armin, there is. I think we can say that this obviously does not sound like fun, but there is a. It's kind of interesting to me that when you're in Egypt, you actually said this on a national TV show publicly in front of the whole country. You declared, who you. I mean, not that you're
And got
gay,
the
but
police at this house though. After
yeah, that was an atheist. Now, and when you're here in Germany, you're trying to hold back on it. So that in itself is that's a tough situation. I
Okay,
guess a
no,
lot of
but
it is
that's a
learned by-
false analogy because I think in Germany, I mean, you're just
No,
trying.
that's what I was getting to. I was saying that it is, when we
Wait, let me-
paint it like that.
Yeah.
No, let me just finish what I'm saying. When we paint it like that, it seems like you had it better there than here, but that is obviously not the case.
No.
Ultimately, down the line, you're obviously better off, and I know that you're very grateful to be in Germany. There are issues and there's glitches with the refugee center, but of course, the life that you escaped, right, is you're obviously happy that that's behind you. So we don't want to create the impression that we're in any way ungrateful for what's happening. We're just kind of pointing out some of the issues that need to be worked on.
Do
That's all.
you think a lot of the people that are there shouldn't have even be let in? Like a lot of people, like forget the integration. A lot of these people shouldn't even have been allowed to come to Germany. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that there are people who pretend, who lie about being persecuted, and hopefully, unfortunately, not all of them gets rejected. That's not very good thing, but like the system is not perfect. But yeah, there are people who lies.
And do you
Yeah.
think it's an exaggeration that this is going to completely change Germany?
I don't know. It might. I'm not sure. I mean, there is changes that is already happening, but I don't really know. It depends on how fast are they gonna integrate. Because the faster they integrate, the less any negative impact will happen to the country.
Well, I'm going to come see you in Berlin very soon, right? So, and we're going to actually go with cameras into the Islamic areas. And there's going to be a camera crew following me, and we're going to talk to some Muslims in the Islamic areas of the city, okay? I don't know if you're going to join me or not, but that's the plan.
I would like to join you, of course.
Yeah? Okay.
I think you should.
Okay.
Because I think that it's important. It's good for them to see that there is. We talk about diversity. We love diversity. So it's good for them to see that there is diversity. Here is an Arab man who thinks this way, and you are an Arab man who thinks another way. Diversity. It's beautiful. Let's all get together, get along together, right? I think that's the whole point, and I think that's what Armin does amazingly. There's so many things. I definitely want to talk about the Sharif Gabr case. I think for people who are listening to this, they know Sharif Gabr is another atheist who is a very amazing, brilliant YouTuber who made some amazing videos in Arabic. And he is essentially running for his life. And he has posted stuff on Twitter where he's felt suicidal. He's been every once in a while he resurfaces and he posts something, but he's been in jail. He's being persecuted relentlessly, and he's on the run. We don't know what to do. I want to talk about that.
Just to be clear, he's right now in Egypt for people that haven't followed him. He's stuck
still
in
Egypt.
Yeah, and he's trying to get out. Yeah.
So I want to know that. So is that do you know him? Did you ever correspond in any way, Mohamed?
Unfortunately, I did not get the chance to meet him. But like Sharif, it got very big, like in the Middle East generally, in the Arabic speaking people. Many people who are teenagers are drawn to his content and drawn to his videos, and he changed a lot of minds. But that has a price and has a cost. Unfortunately, he's now being persecuted. A lot of people want to put him in jail. The government are after him. and cannot simply get out of the country because there is travel bans and like they are looking for him, so he's hiding. It's a very unfortunate situation, and I'm not sure what could really be done to save him. Most Western governments and embassies are so pleased with what our president and our government in Egypt doing with the economy, and like there was a lot of products and a lot of things that was subsidized by the government, and now it's not. Now
Subsidized. Yeah.
subsidized, yeah. And that is creating a lot of trouble inside people, and they want to revolt in a way, but there is still a lot of prisons are being built for that. And when the West sees that like this economical reform happening, they sound to be very, very glad that it's happening, because like how else it could happen? Like nobody could even dream of doing that. And when it comes to human rights, they don't get bothered that much with it. And I'm not talking about Western people, of course, Western governments, like they're playing politics. It's a different story.
So just to be clear, he was arrested once, right? Or twice. And now there is I think he was arrested twice, and now this is his third arrest warrant out there, but he's in hiding, right? He tried to leave. Yeah. He went to the airport. He tried to leave. Right before his plane takeoff, they came in and they took him, arrested him for a second time, I think, when he was trying to leave. And they, after being in jail for a while, I think I'm getting this right. I'm not sure if I'm wrong. Somebody let me know. And then after they let him go again, but now they issued another arrest warrant because he came out in public and said that I need to get out. I need help. I've exhausted every way. There's now a new arrest warrant from him, but he hasn't been arrested because he's in hiding. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. He seems to be a bit suicidal, given his last messages. You saw that? Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But everybody... go on.
Too much pressure. He's like, I can only imagine the amount of pressure that he's under.
Right.
Like, he cannot really live a normal life.
I think people don't understand how big Sharif Jabr, like you said, he grew really fast. People don't understand what, like, he started making atheist content in Arabic. And the fact that his channel grew so fast just shows how much demand for Arabic content is out there about atheism, right? It's just like people just took it, like people were just waiting for it. So, but he became, and that's actually what eventually got him, because he got so much attention that the government went after him. But this shows how much Arabic content is needed, and how much the supply and demand is, like a huge gap between it. You got arrested once as well, right?
Personally? No.
No. The police came to your house and they took they didn't arrest you. They just checked your phone. Right.
Yeah, interrogation, and they start to ask me about names and things like that. Mm-hmm. And start to ask me personal questions, and then they left. The thing with me is that I took a different approach than
Ali, can you not do that, because it's just during the idea? Yeah, okay.
Sorry guys, I'm having pistachios. I'll mute myself.
Yeah, please stop. Okay, Mohamed, go on.
Yeah, when I started to have these threats of imprisonment and all of that, and my family cracked down on me,
right.
I simply pretended to be a Muslim. I declared that I'm back to Islam, and I went off social media. It was really hard to find me in social media, and even if you found my account, I didn't have a photo, it was different, didn't have a name, didn't have anything. And I think that was like the main reason why I managed to escape.
Right. So you played it very safe. Once your family physically assaulted you, right?
Yeah, I have a relative who is a police officer. He's like assaulted me and like threatened me of prison and stuff like that.
And they didn't even know you're gay. This is just for atheism.
For being on the shows. Yeah.
Okay. So go on.
Under their observation and under, like, they were monitoring me, like interrogating me about anything I do. So I had to be very careful. I knew that it's really easy, like given the content I had online at this time, the interviews and stuff. Like all what it could take is a lawsuit, and like probably I'll get imprisoned. So it was a very vulnerable situation, and I had to be careful. And I think it was I'm grateful to have very smart friends who were surrounding me at the time, advised me to do that, or else I would have been ended in a situation that like maybe I wouldn't say similar to Sharif, but it would have been a bad situation too.
So you basically went all out at first. You went on national TV and told everybody you're an atheist. And then the reaction that you got from the police and your family, mostly your family it seems, was so harsh that you decided to like, okay, you went back to Islam, pretend to go back to Islam. You went under the radar, and like you just planned on how to get out, right? And now you made it out, right?
Yeah,
but,
exactly. Before lawsuits, because
right.
like if I had lawsuits in me, then like my chances at getting out or being a free man would have been very slim.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you regret? Just one question. Do you regret going on TV and announcing to the Egyptian, to everybody publicly online that you're an atheist on national TV in Egypt?
Well, I mean, back then, before escaping, sometimes I had moments of weakness, but I did not regret going out. Sometimes I felt like I could have done it better. I could have had more impact. That's the regrets that I had. But not regretting like.
But Ali, let's focus on that just a second, because a lot of people criticize activists for taking risk, and be like, "Oh, why are you being stupid? You're taking risks." But it's such a stupid thing, because for me, this is such a. I mean, you shouldn't ask people to take risks, but when people do decide to take risks themselves for the sake of their community, for the sake of the world, for the sake of making things better, this is the cost that they know. This is the risk that they know they're taking, and they're still deciding to take it, right? And they're doing it for others. And even after everything Mohammed went through, from abuse all his friends left him, his family abused him, the police threatened him with death, with actual physical beating. He says his regret is not that he did this. His regret is that he wished he said something that had a more impact. This is a true, Mohammed, you're a true actor. You're a hero, okay? You're a hero. And when people take risks like this for the sake of others, you say thank you to them. You don't say, why did you do this? You say thank you, because it's so stupid to me that people say, oh, you shouldn't. If you don't want to take risks, then don't take risks. But for people that have taken risks, you have to realize that these are the same people that like people in free countries, they are enjoying the rights that they have, the peace that they enjoy, the security that they have, the freedom that they enjoy is because people like Muhammad, one day in where they live, took these risks. They took risks. They took risks to their safety, to their lives, to their freedom, and they sacrificed. And now these people enjoy all these rights because of other people's sacrifices, and they're telling other people like, oh, why are you taking risks? No, they're taking risks for other people that do not have your rights. And you thank these people.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, every woman out there who has a job and works outside the home today, I mean, there were people, the first women who decided to do that were called whores. They were completely ostracized from society. They took that risk. Every gay person today who is enjoying the rights and privileges of the gay rights movement, I mean, there was a man named Harvey Milk who got murdered because, he went out and he spoke about this openly at a time when everybody thought he was a sexual deviant and a demon. So yes, there are people like you, Mohammed, and I completely agree with Armin when he says that you're a hero. People don't recognize that everything that they're taking for granted, all the freedom and the diversity and the civil liberties and everything that they're enjoying today, while they're just sitting around doing their thing, is because of people like you in the past who helped make that life possible for them. And I think that, we're talking about, Armin's talking about how this is, right now, it's a very small movement, and, you're kind of like a little man standing in front of a train. But that's how all of this stuff starts. Every revolution starts off with rebellion. Every revolution starts off with every major transformative change starts off with an outcast. Some one little person who comes out and says, okay, and then it becomes 5 little people, and then it grows and grows and grows. And Islam started that way. Muhammad was the same way. It was one guy, everybody hated him, and then
allegedly.
So I want to ask you this question. I mean, what made you decide to go on? Because I want to get into the mindset. You did take a risk.
Actually, Ed is asking the same question. Do you want to just read it the way Ed is asking it in the live chat?
Okay, yeah. So, he's saying, Mohammed, what circumstances led you to openly declare on national television that you are atheist? Was that pre-planned in your mind, or was it a spur-of-the-moment decision? And how did it come about? How did you end up getting on the show and getting that platform?
Well, I mean, I was suffering injustice my whole life in Egypt. Like, whether being gay or ex-Muslim, we don't, like, our rights are being, we don't have rights, honestly. And it's injustice, and it hurts, and it's bad, and it has a lot of bad impacts that shaped my personality, honestly. So when I went, there was one day in Atheist Republic, a guy posted an advertisement for a TV show that wanted to host atheist people who are like Egyptian and from Muslim background and from Christian background, and everybody were like, no, we're not gonna do this. Like, you would be risking your life, you would be risking everything, and most of us didn't want to do that because it's very dangerous and it's very understandable. As Armin said, you cannot really ask somebody to do that, to risk their lives or risk their freedom this way. However, like, I was in the mindset that I felt like this is injustice. Maybe I could have a little role, very small role, in it changing that. Maybe it's an edge of something new. And I went there to try to change it and elevate this injustice a little bit. My mindset was, if I'm being reasonable, rational, polite, then maybe they will understand. Maybe they will feel sympathetic. And some did. Many people did. And some didn't. Majority didn't. So, yeah, it wasn't a complete failure, I guess. But, yeah.
So wait, so it was an Atheist Republic post that got you into trouble?
It was in the consulate.
Do you have a link to that post? Like, so basically the post, because the post said like, hey, there's a call out for atheists in Egypt. They want it on TV, and it was posted on Atheist Republic, and that's where you first saw it, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
so Armin is responsible. Armin is so no. I'm sorry
if I got.
It's a good thing. So for people who don't know this, Armin actually founded Atheist Republic. It's his baby, and it's got over 2 million people now. But anyway,
in my defense, is not. We're a big team, so I don't post like the Atheist Republic posts every 15 minutes. Obviously, it's not all me. Like I feel like I'm getting too much credit for Atheist Republic because I started it, but there's a whole other like group of people behind it that is making everything.
Armin, you deserve the credit, and that's how it happens. So another thing, you're talking about these circumstances that led you to go on the show. Also, there was a lot of stuff that happened in Egypt. Now, you seem like a pretty young guy, but we had Mubarak was in power there. Then in 2011, you had the revolution and the Arab Spring, and then that eventually led to Mohamed Morsi's government, Muslim Brotherhood being elected democratically, and then that was dissolved, and now you have Sisi in power. So through these changes, when the Arab Spring was happening, were you at that time hopeful, and then later how it turned out? Were you surprised, disappointed? I mean, do you have any view on that, on all the things that have happened in Egypt? And for people like yourself, how did you feel throughout that time?
I was naive and hopeful. I was very naive and hopeful, like many other Egyptians. But it didn't work out, unfortunately, because simply people ran to elect Islamic people who has like Islamic agenda, theocratical agenda, and simply that proved to be a failure every time anyone tried to implement it. So it doesn't work, and it failed. And now the country in hands of dictatorships again. The thing with Islamists is that they got democratically elected. It was the first democratically elected president in Egypt's history, maybe in the whole region, and like, of course, excluding Israel. So it was...
Or Tunisia, yeah.
Maybe, and maybe Tunisia too.
Wait, no. I mean, Tunisia didn't elect an Islamic group.
Oh, not Islamic, but it was he was talking about democratically elected leaders.
Oh yeah,
so
okay. Yeah.
There have been a few, but you're right. It's a rarity. I mean, your point is taken.
Yeah, and that points out that we need to raise more awareness. Like people of Egypt need to have more awareness about what is right and what is wrong, because simply they have made very bad choices. Unfortunately, the current regime does not allow this. Because like he enjoys being a dictator, like they enjoy the power and everything that comes with it. So they are not giving the space for people to actually do anything or like raise awareness or educate people on these matters. Likely, the good thing is that they are also are not giving space for Islamists. So that's a good thing about it. But hopefully they implement new policies, like change the education a little, add philosophy and critical thinking to children. Because my bet is on the new generations. Because like people older than me and my age, like they are developed. It's really not easy to change how they think. Not all people possess flexible mindset.
So, question. What do you say to somebody that says, given that the first time Egyptians were allowed to choose their government, they chose the Muslim Brotherhood? What do you say to somebody that this means that maybe Egypt is not ready for democracy? Well,
I would say it might not be ready for democracy, but why it's not ready for democracy? Because the previous regime was also Mubarak regime, like made sure that people stay ignorant and stupid. So just
whatever the reason is, do you think it's true that Egypt is not ready for democracy?
Yeah, I think so. It's painful to say.
But that's very. But wouldn't that be an anti-enlightenment thing to say?
It would be very factual thing to say. It would be very real thing to say, honestly. Because, like you see, the Brotherhood is not very bad. You know what was bad? Was another candidate who really wanted to make things like ban bikini and like ban like enforce headscarf, ban alcohol, like maybe even have jizya on Christians. That was a candidate, and fortunately, this candidate did not get to power not because he had any shortage of supporters. He had, I guess, if he had the chance to run for presidency, he would have won. Like not Morsi, not anyone, because he was very popular. Like he would ask any normal Egyptian, he would just say that Hazem Salah was nice.
I have to say,
he didn't win because he got disqualified because some sort of a law.
What the
because
fuck?
Like I guess his mother was American or something, so that's why he didn't.
So you're saying that if Egyptians
like,
on average, if they had the chance, they would bring somebody even more Islamic than the Muslim Brotherhood. That's what would happen.
Unfortunately, this is true, but I would like to point out something. Yeah, I would like to point out something. Is that after the Muslim Brotherhood failed right now, I guess they are not very fond of the idea of somebody saying like theocracy is the answer or Islam is the answer, because like that was a very harsh lesson, right?
Wait, what lesson?
So
They didn't get a chance to experience it before they were removed.
Well, I mean, they demonstrated failure by being removed. Like, if they were successful, like the fact that they got removed is a sign of failure in itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I might, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I have one thing that I want to get in where I don't think I completely disagree with you guys, but I want to modify it. You know, when you say that some place is ready for democracy, I always look at it as when you have a kid who's growing up and you start giving them some money allowance, you know, to teach them how to use money. Initially, the first times you give them the money for the first while, they're going to spend it all and waste it. They're not going to know how to handle it. It's after a while that they're going to, but you cannot get to that process without giving it to them. No, hold on.
Okay.
Let me finish. So what has happened generally in these, especially in the Arab world with these dictatorships, is that these dictators have been around for decades. Mubarak was there for 40 years, 30 years, and then Gaddafi was there for 40 years. The Saudi monarchy's been there forever. So what happens is when they're there, the only opposition that is gutsy enough and that is organized enough to actually start becoming a force is usually the Islamic opposition in these places, right? And we saw this with the Iran thing too. Iran's a little bit ahead of the rest of the region. No, hold it just in terms of chronology. I'm not saying in terms of values or anything. So what happens is that usually when you have these dictatorships fall, these Muslim Brotherhood and all these, I mean, they're not just going around and talking about their ideology. They're providing social services to people. Hamas is giving like money to families and all of that stuff. So they end up just being the more organized party. But for them to be ready for democracy, you have to let the process play out. And it's messy. Democracy is a very messy thing. The U.S. went through years of slavery, years of like inequality and all of this stuff to get to the democratic state it's in. India went through years and years of corruption and just horrible management in order to become like the sort of second world country.
Okay, can I respond? This is
I know you've been aching to.
Yeah, because this is thank you, Jimmy. This is if you mention Iran, I thought like you're not going to mention Iran because Iran is an example of why you're wrong. Okay, because
Iran's an example of why I'm right.
Wait, no, can I talk now? Because you told me not to interrupt you, so don't interrupt me.
Okay, Armin.
So you say like, oh, they have to go through an Islamic experience to like it's kind of like your child that you give them money and they waste it. Iran has been dealing with an Islamic Republic for 40 fucking years with this experiment, okay? Like, I don't think a lot of people in Iran will like given what they had to pay for this experiment of the first time they managed to have something even close to, I mean, it was a fake democracy, but at least it was pretend democracy. But I'm just saying that you're saying, so they had monarchs and now they're going through an Islamic Republic. It doesn't look like this Islamic Republic is going to go anywhere. They've been around for 40 years. A lot of people have suffered from an Islamic regime, and it doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere, right? It's like it doesn't seem like it's just an experiment that people are going to grow out of. It looks like cancer that they're stuck with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not endorsing that this is the way things should be. I'm saying that this is the natural state of affairs when you're developing a democracy. You go through very, very messy periods. It takes a very long time. 40 years is nothing. But hold on. It's nothing in the time scale. But eventually what you end up with, as you have in the great democracies of the world today, it is an enduring and lasting system.
Not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed.
No. So I'm not saying that my thing is that I think that everybody should go through an Islamic experiment. I'm saying that is inevitably the way that plays out, because the alternative, what is the alternative? Is you just keep dictators. You're like, oh, this society isn't ready for democracy. You just keep dictators in power forever. And they're never going to be ready for democracy if you don't let them try it out, let them fuck it up, let them mess around with it, go through the trials and tribulations, and then end up, even after 50 years, 60 years,
let's go back to our guest. Let's go back. The alternative is to change
what are your thoughts?
The alternative is to change the mind of people on the ground and then remove the dictator.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's what we have to. But you can't do that unless you give it.
Okay, Mohammed.
Yeah, I'm saying that it could be done with less costs. Like you're saying, Iran had to pay too much, like 40 years under crazy regime and stuff that's terrible happening to people in there. So, I mean, I think it could be done with less costs. Where, like, if you pressure the current regime to maybe push for more secular Egypt, and they can do that, I think that would help in preparing people to democracy. Right. I think we should start definitely with the schools, and we should start with the curriculums, and we should introduce more science, more philosophy, more logic and critical thinking in that. And I think that's the most important thing to start a good change.
And it takes like we're talking about the 40 years and everything. Now it's going to take less time with time, because when other democracies come up, when the U.S. was the only real democracy in the world, I mean, it took them 400 years. The 400 years they were enslaving people. Like the founding fathers were all slave owners. Now, with some countries, it takes 100 years. Then later on, it'll be 40 years. Now with the internet revolution, and if you have many democracies in the Middle East, once that starts happening, the newer countries will have
Ali,
less time.
You're contradicting yourself. So the point is that it's like the narrative that I don't want to sell to people is like as if there's a natural process of two things. If you look at history, there are a lot of things that repeat itself, but there's also a lot of new things that happens all the time that hasn't happened before. Like a lot of new trends, right? And and you just mentioned there's like sometimes it takes 400 years, sometimes 600 years, sometimes it takes 20 years, sometimes it's just people just come out and just be like, you want democracy? Yeah, hold on, and it worked. But the thing is that I don't want people to just be like, oh, this is just how things work and wash their hands. And I'm not suggesting that you're saying that, okay? Mm-hmm. I just wanted to our listeners not to come off as this is how things happen. No, we can change how things happen. Right? Hold on. What Mohammed was saying also is like, no, we could lower the cost. If eventually a dictator is removed, if we have made the people, if enlightenment values are spreading in the society, when a dictator is removed, you don't have to go through a 40, 100, or 400 years of experience of messiness. In fact, if you look at Western Europe, they had a messy period with the French Revolution, but it was very shortly after these values start spreading faster. So, like you're right. Like
I have to respond to that. I absolutely agree with you, and I don't think that contradicts anything I'm saying.
No, I didn't say that's what you're saying. I'm just saying it doesn't want to come off to people that you're saying this is how things happen in history. Yeah, so let's just let it happen. No, there's activism changes. Activism changes history. Activism changes history. But go on.
Okay, so it is always activism. When I talk about this. When I'm saying that there were 400 years that took to end slavery, I'm not saying sometimes it takes this, sometimes it doesn't. I'm saying throughout history, chronologically, in the past, it used to take longer. For the early democracies, when it was the only one in the world, it took 400 years. When you started getting more, it became 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. And with time, because of what you're talking about, it will take less time, right? And as more and more countries get transformed into democracies in the Middle East, which will happen, right? It's going to take less and less time, and more countries will follow that path. It's like the states when they started approving gay marriage, right? Like same-sex marriage in the U.S. Like one state, the first state, it was really, really tough, and then eventually it became faster and faster as more accepted it. But all I'm saying is that the answer, I don't think no society is ever ready for democracy when it starts. No society is. They have to have it, and they have to mess around with it for it to actually take shape. Right? You have to give it to them no matter how troubled or messy it is. And then with time, hopefully, right, that'll take less and less time. That's all I'm saying.
We should ask some of the Patreon questions. By the way, for people that are listening to this on audio, the reason the live chat that we have is just our patrons, right? So if you do want to... If you do want to participate in our live chat and join us live on video when we're having these discussions, become a patron, and join the discussion live with us. But Ali, because we do have to get to some of the patron questions at some point, okay?
No, we will. We have some time right now. Okay. I wanted to ask one last question before we go to patron questions, and I think this is something that people want to know.
Okay.
Is just how you were raised, how you became an atheist. Usually we do that in the beginning of the show, but what was your family life like? How did they respond to you coming out? I mean, whether it's as gay or as an atheist or however you've come out. And what's your relationship?
And what's the difference between them finding out you're atheist and finding out you're gay? What was the difference between them?
Tell us a story of how, when you were a kid, and what your journey was.
As a kid, I grew up in a very strict Islamic environment. Like since I was 6, I remember going to school to recite Quran and going to the mosque maybe 4 or 5 times a day. So I had very, very big exposure since a very young age to Islam. And then when I was 8, I started to have doubts, and I actually became agnostic. I had ideas like, maybe Muhammad lied to us. Maybe he didn't say the truth. Like, there is no proof of anything that is being said about Islam or about the world. I mean, adults lie. I was 8 years old, so adults lie. Why Muhammad didn't lie as them? Anyway.
Yeah.
So I kept that to myself because I didn't want any trouble with the family, with my parents or whatever. So I kept going to the mosque. And one day I was at Friday prayers. It's Goma prayers. It's equivalent to Sunday prayers for Christians. And the Imam was preaching and was saying that if you ask Allah for anything before dawn, Allah will give you that. So I was like, oh, it's a cool experiment. Maybe I could verify their existence this way.
Scientific method. Yeah.
So I went to sleep and then waked up right before dawn, and I asked if you exist, if Allah, you exist, please make Mijihan, my math teacher, be absent tomorrow because I did not finish the homework. And I went the second day to school and I did not find Mijihan. And later I knew that Mijihan resigned. And then we spent about 2 weeks without a math teacher.
Alhamdulillah.
That was enough of a sign for an 8 years old. And I spent my teenage years being very strict Muslim. I would say if I got the opportunity to join Al-Qaeda or whatever, I might have done that. Because that's
join a what?
Al-Qaeda or a terrorist organization, I might have done that.
Oh, so you went through a very religious phase.
Yeah, I used to fantasize about it, honestly. And given that also my sexual orientation was pressuring me a lot because it's forbidden, it's haram to be gay and all that crazy nonsense. So it was too much pressure, and you don't really want to live this life, But then I started to learn English. I started to understand more about Enlightenment values and about science and about philosophy. And I became an atheist. I started, of course, to notice the atrocities in Islam. I started to notice how illogical the religion is and the assertions that God exists and created everything. And the logical contradiction of the Abrahamic God in itself, something like the problem of evil, the all-merciful, all-knowing, all-powerful God. It doesn't go well together. It doesn't make sense. So I became an atheist, and I also kept it to myself. I didn't do much activities with that. And then later I joined the Atheist Republic, one of the Cairo consulate, and then I found people who think like me. And I spent most of my life without since I became an atheist, I didn't have much friends because I didn't get along with the way they think. It disgusted me sometimes. All the misogyny, the homophobia, the toxicity, the toxic masculinity, all of that didn't really, I didn't feel good about it, so I didn't have much friends. Then when I joined the Atheist Republic, one of the local councillors, and I found people who thinks like me, and I was in love with them. Like, I'm still in love with them, of course. I like them very much, and like I've made a lot of good friends in there. And I thought like this community should have an opportunity to thrive and have more exposure and all of that. And when that opportunity of the show came, I took it mostly for them also. Like all the injustice, but also for them, because they are very afraid, and they have every right to be afraid. Like, nobody would go around and identify himself as an ex-Muslim. They might lose their jobs, their families, they might go into a lot of trouble. And if somebody said why he left Islam, then he would be breaking the law, the blasphemy laws that we have. So too much pressure and too much injustice, I guess. Yeah, that's the story.
And what about your
being gay? I did not go out about that. I did not get out of the closet. However, I'm preparing for a show. Like in Egypt, we are 100 million citizens and not one show about LGBT. So I'm preparing an Arabic show for that. Like my aim
LGBT.
My aim would be fighting homophobia and also trying to like create a common ground so that we build a community. Yeah.
Can you make shows for the Atheist Republic Arabic? I could give you the channel, and you could just make your shows on the Atheist Republic Arabic channel. Would you? I'll take care of all the editing and technical stuff.
Honor. That would be an honor.
Really? Oh wow, yeah. That's awesome. That would be an honor for me.
And I gotta tell everybody.
No, wait, Ali. This is a big deal. So, yeah, I'll make you a manager on a YouTube channel, and you don't even have to deal with anything. Just make content in Arabic and send it to me. I'll edit it. I'll put your social media stuff on it and description, so you don't have to worry about. We'll market it, we promote it, we'll send it to our newsletter, and then we'll just
Thank
That'd
you.
Be amazing.
It would be awesome. Thank you, Armin, for giving me this. Yeah. Thank you a lot.
Awesome.
That would be fantastic. And there's this thing. I think a lot of people. I was actually turned on to Arabic atheist YouTube recently by. I can't talk about him too much, but he is the son of a very prominent imam in Toronto, and he comes to my house once in a while for beers and stuff. And we actually talked about this, and he has sent me links to a lot of the Arabic YouTube, and the Arabic atheist YouTube is very, very sophisticated. Like they talk about things in a lot of depth. It's very, very vibrant, and they are not pressured by all of this sort of Western thing of, well, what is the regressive left going to say? What is the far right is going to say? They can just talk about things openly because for them, Islam and Islamic theocracy is their Trump. Like they don't have to try to apologize or anything or try to watch what they say. It's really, really amazing. And I think that if you got into that, Mohamed, I don't think there's any limits to what we do. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, it would
be phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm really happy right now. I don't know if people can.
No, that it is awesome. So, what about your one more thing that you did mention is your family. How have they reacted to this? When you were growing up,
are you still in
what
touch?
was your family? Yeah, what was your family life like? Were you religious, or how did that go around?
I mean, generally they are Muslim families. They are very hyped about the Islamic project, Khilafah, and stuff like that. They fantasize about these things, and yeah, I had very strict Islamic upbringing. That's maybe would explain why they had such a hostile reaction when I went on these shows, and also that would explain why I feel so much injustice. Because that's also not my situation alone. Like many people are like that in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And are you still in touch with them at all?
No.
Did you? Yeah. What would you say?
guys are my family. You are my family now. Like I don't have I don't have biological family anymore. Like you are my family.
No, I love that. And is it so being gay in Egypt and never coming out of the closet? Did you? I mean, that's a sort of a tough thing to go through. Did you look into Did you go online to meet people? How did you meet people for relationships, or did you just not explore that at all?
Yeah, unfortunately, I did not get the chance to explore that at all, since that, as far as I know, it's very dangerous. Sometimes even authorities disguise as being gay and go to ambush people.
What?
So even online, it's it's not a thing to come out of the closet in Egypt. Like people don't do that,
Wow,
Because,
that's amazing to me. That's probably, I'm thinking that's got to be an even tougher struggle.
And in the news, every once in a while, you hear about, oh, those gays got arrested for having a wedding in a boat, or those guys got arrested for raising the rainbow flag, or whatever. So you hear all of that stuff in the news, and it's just it's too risky.
I want to ask one last question for all my Western liberal friends. I want them to sort of hear the answer to this. If you went on a show and you declared that you were publicly an atheist and you don't believe in God, and obviously that brought a lot of issues, and that's one of the reasons you're in the refugee center, would you have gone on a show and said, I am gay and this is how I am?
Definitely, yeah.
You would have done that, on an Egyptian TV show?
Yeah, so definitely.
You would have come out of the closet with that. And what do you think the consequences would be for that in contrast to declaring you're an atheist?
I don't know, maybe similar consequences, maybe worse, maybe not worse. But definitely the situation with gay people and LGBT people in Egypt is way worse than the situation of atheists or ex-Muslims.
Did you know other gay and LGBT people in Egypt?
Not really. Not in real life, no. Only maybe one person.
Yeah.
Wow, not a very good date.
Yeah, one person that I got to know from Atheist Republic too.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Not very good for dating if you only know one other person.
Well, we had a good date, but he traveled out of Egypt because he wasn't an Egyptian national, so he was.
Wait, so the only gay person that you knew was the one that you were dating?
I wasn't dating. We just met twice, and it was, if you want to call it dating, but it wasn't very serious because he simply was leaving Egypt.
Yeah. Well, Mohammed, we're going to go to patron questions now, unless, Armin, you have something else to say.
No. Let's go to patron questions, because there's some really good questions here.
Right, so...
I think the last one, the one that we haven't asked here, the first one that we haven't asked yet, because we did ask...
I will...
Is there anything we can do to help Sharif?
Adlock Hungry is asking.
Before you answer that, I actually want to point out that Sharif actually responded to me because I asked him the same question, and he said because we tried to look at every possible scenario to help him. We exhausted everything. We talked to so many people, and it seems like there is nothing you can do. And I went to I didn't think he was answer because there's so many people trying to contact him. I asked him how can we help, and he answered. He said that it doesn't seem there's any other options left. But what do you think?
Well, personally, I would say if Western people would like to help, maybe they could pressure their governments a little to interfere.
Yeah.
Like an embassy. If an embassy decided, if a Western embassy in Egypt really decided to save him, they could do. They might have. Yeah, there might be consequences that is not very good for the embassy, but they could do it if they want to.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can do. And the one problem that is that Egypt has so many political prisoners right now that the pressure on all of them has been spread between all of them. Do you know what I mean? And all the pressure for a lot of these foreigners, especially being in prison even reporters, journalists, right?
Well,
They haven't gotten out. You go on?
if I could change places with Sharif, I would have done it. Okay?
Wow.
Like, honestly, Sharif is very special and he deserves freedom because the things that he does really deserve. Like, I don't think that I could do the things that he does.
So you're saying for the
think
sake
he's more
of
valuable than me. I
what?
think he's more valuable. I think he's more valuable than me. And like, if like, I don't know, it's ridiculous to say that it's being spreaded. He's a one of a kind. Like, nobody have done that, the things that he has done. Nobody have had such effect and influence.
No, and he's brilliant.
So
He is
I just want to be
absolutely-
I just want to be clear about what you're saying to the audience, in case people didn't understand it. You're saying, and this is the kind of person Mohamed is, guys. Like, listen to what Mohamed is saying. This is his level of dedication. He's saying because he thinks that Sharif is more valuable to the community than he is, he would want to trade places with him so that he's still back in Egypt and stuck, and Sharif is free so that Sharif could continue producing his content. Like, I don't know what to tell you, Mohamed. You're my hero.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's okay. So move on. I think Mars has a question. Mars is saying, Mohammed, now that you're in the West, have you had more opportunities to share your story and experiences on a larger scale? I think you can. He's saying that he thinks you can and should have that much larger effect that you spoke of.
Well, yeah, definitely. I'm being invited to conferences. I'm being invited to like panels and things like that, and I would participate in them. And hopefully, I get my story out and like raise awareness about our situation in all of that new mediums.
Yeah, and just an announcement for everybody. Armin and Mohammed and I, and Mohammed, correct me if I'm wrong, all three of us, we're all going to be in person in Amsterdam around the end of August, early September, for the conference that Maryam Namazi has organized.
Hopefully, I managed to make it because the logistics is not very easy, but I'm really doing my best.
Yeah, do your best, and if not, then we can Skype you in, and we'll have to do something.
Because you don't have a passport, so you can't leave from Germany to the Netherlands. So that's the problem. But
yeah.
But I am gonna see you in Berlin when I get there. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and so that's it. Do you want to announce that, Armin? Do you want to talk about what your plan is?
Well, the Berlin. I mean, Mohammed, we were planning on advertising the Berlin one. It's on what? So, what day was it? I forgot. I could check the date again.
But whatever the date is, but what are you planning to do?
The problem is that it's not open to the public. They're only inviting journalists.
So, no, I'm not saying to invite, but just do you want to talk about what you guys are going to do, or do you want to leave that for as a surprise or whatever?
Okay, so I'm gonna put out my manifesto against Islamic reform. So I won't bore the audience here with it because they have enough. I've heard a lot about that. But this is the whole anti-reform thing is the main reason why they're having me at this conference. So I'm happy finally somebody is taking it seriously and giving me a platform specifically for this, because I know our patrons are tired of me hearing about this, but other people haven't heard it.
Oh, you're going to get it. No, but I'm talking about what you and Mohammed are going to do in Berlin.
Okay. So there's going to be
in Germany.
So the event organizer, she's really amazing. What she's doing is that she's planning the conference with these journalists, right? And then after that they're going to cover it on articles and news and stuff. And then the day after, we're going to go with some camera crew and some journalists, and we're going to go to some areas that she's going to take us, and we're going to have some conversations with Muslims in Islamic parts of the city. And I know me and Mohammed, by the way, have some disagreements on the whole reform thing, by the way. So, which is fun. By the way, Mohammed, you see me and Ali get along a lot, and we disagree. Don't be shy about.
I think Mohammed and I would probably get along better.
I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think that reform, like Islam or religion generally, is gonna change anyway, right? It's gonna change.
Okay,
Like
don't
60 years.
no. Okay, no, Mohammed. If you open that door, this is going to be a 3-hour.
Yeah, this is going to be a 3-hour thing.
Yeah.
And I just want to direct viewers that
I'll
Armin and Mohammed did have a
convert
previous
you.
conversation.
Right.
You guys did have a previous conversation on the Atheist Republic channel. I don't know if you touched this topic, but
No. We talk more about his journey from. So if you go to the conversation with me and Mohammed on Atheist Republic, it was more about what happened at the TV interview. How did he get there? We went to over all the experience that he had, like in more detail, right? So it's good that this didn't end up being the same conversation that we had there. So
well, I would love it, and I think the audience would like it too. Nobody's that tired of hearing you talk about reform. So if you when you go and you meet Mohammed, if you do another maybe a part 2 of this, where you talk about that reform, just you guys.
Yeah.
I would love to listen to that.
Yeah, Mohammed, I'll convert you to an anti-reformist.
Mohammed, don't do it.
Wait, Ali,
I'm kind of an anti-reformist too, but I just like opposing Armin. It's just a habit now. Anyway, so okay, so the next question is from Ed Amin, and he's saying, Mohammed, just curious, what are your day-to-day activities at the refugee center? What do you do? Your jobs, hobbies, activities? What do you do every day, day to day?
I try to study German. It's not as easy as English. However, it's much easier than Arabic. And,
much easier than Arabic.
Yeah, German.
I just want to interrupt you here to point out that actually Arabic and Japanese and a few other languages are the most difficult. Have been ranked as some of the most difficult languages in the world. Which really question, you have to, if you believe in Allah, you have to question why would he pick one of the most difficult languages in the world to learn as a language to communicate his message. But go on.
Because he was Arab.
Yeah, so most of the day I try to study, and sometimes I go out to meet friends, and that's it. Not much.
Yeah. Okay.
My life is not so glamorous, I guess.
Do you have any hobbies? Do you play music, or do you play music, listen to music? Do you get a chance to watch movies?
Well, I'm currently trying to learn how to dance using tutorials and stuff online.
Nice.
I figured out when I go to the club, I cannot really do anything. And I decided to do that, learn how to dance and get some moves and stuff.
Right. That's awesome. Another question. Yeah, so Adlock there's a comment about you and me, Armin. If Armin and Ali were Islamic political opponents, they would now hate one another. Since they are free-thinking secular atheists, they're just good buddies who argue sometimes.
Well, to be fair,
I responded to that and I said,
yeah, I mean, I love Ali, and I actually enjoy talking to him more because we disagree, not less. But but just to be honest, we do have a lot of drama in the atheist free-thinking community because of small disagreements as well. So we're not immune to that in our community. But go on.
Yeah. So Ed he has another question. He says, Mohammed, even though you are atheists, there are certain LGBTQI plus individuals who stay Muslim, and they explain that Islam is compatible with being LGBTQ. What are your views on that?
Well, Islam definitely is not compatible with LGBTQ. However, given that I believe in reforms, I think they could manage to push a new version of Islam that is compatible. However, I'm not sure if, sometimes I look at Christianity and I wonder, did they pull this off? Did they manage to do this in Christianity? Oof. I'm not sure. There are some churches that is accepting to LGBT people, so maybe it could work, maybe not. However, currently, I think Islam is is weakening the community. It's dismantling it, because simply how you're gonna ask for your rights while you think that you are being sinful or pervert or whatever, because that's what Islam plants in you for being a gay person. You think you everything you do is regarding your natural desires is haram and it's forbidden. Right. And I always imagine this scenario where a Muslim LGBTQ sitting with a sheikh, maybe with an imam, maybe in a debate, and then the Imam would tell him, like, you are sinful and you need to repent, and I don't think that he will like the Muslim person will have a good comeback of that.
I'm just letting you know that I'm using a lot of energy not to respond to that right now.
That's good.
Because
That's good,
I'm
good.
trying. I don't want this to turn into a reform episode, because some of our patrons complain that every episode is turning into. But I'm just letting you know it's really taking. This is very difficult for me not to respond.
Let Mohammed have his answer. And Mohammed, actually, I agree with Mohammed. I agree with everything he said, because that
don't make it even more difficult for me.
It wasn't totally pro-reform what he said. So there are, let's see, there's one more. Mars is saying, I'm sorry to hear about your family, Mohammed, but I'm very grateful you are safe in the West, hoping your experience here will be a happy one, and we all agree with that. And yeah, that's it. Ned saying, I missed the reform talk today. So yeah, hopefully you guys have that, and that's a patent question. So, oh man, this has been amazing. Actually, go ahead, Armin.
Before we have so if you guys want a quick summary of the reform, the pro versus anti-reform, Drew from genetically modified skeptic, he did a very good short summary of my position and Majid's position, and compared them with each other on his channel. So you could watch that video.
Yeah. So, but in any case,
Aaron is saying thank you, Armin, and then he has a emoticon with a zipper on your mouth. I tried.
Point out something regarding reform.
I'm
sorry, I know. I just have to say it.
Armin, you can't respond.
No, you cannot respond. If you could turn people to atheists, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. That would be my first choice.
Okay, but you don't understand. But if you're saying,
he's gonna have to respond now.
No, I'm not gonna respond. I'm not gonna respond. But I'm just saying that shows that you don't know what my position is. Yeah. Because you don't know what my position is. Because the position of anti-reform does not mean that I want everybody. I think everybody can become atheist tomorrow. That's not the position. I'll explain it to you when we meet with each other and we record it. Okay.
And that is a great cliffhanger and great teaser for part 2 of this conversation, which I think now has to happen.
Right.
So when you guys are in person and when you meet in person, I think it'll be really good. And Mohammed, I'm really looking forward to hearing your voice. And don't hold back. Well, I know you're not going to hold back. You went on Egyptian TV and you told Sheikh Mahmoud that you're an atheist. And he's like, what? He's like, what? How can you even be a human being? You didn't say that. Like, it was amazing. So I don't think that you're going to pull any punches. And that's what we love about you. And that's why... I know you're feeling really awkward when you say this over and over again, but that's why you're a hero. There are loads of people here who are going to be listening to this, and they're just going to be amazed at everything that you're doing, everything that you've done, and we just wish you the very best, and we wish just the very best to Sharif Gaber and the other atheists in Egypt and everything that they're going through. And, this is a celebration. This is a victory that you're here, and it's a sort of a small victory. There's still so much more to do, but I think that with people like you around, it just makes everybody, all of us, a lot more hopeful that these things will continue to happen. So
and I know you get uncomfortable when we compliment you, but it's okay.
Mohammed, what were you saying?
Well, thank you a lot for having me. I really enjoyed my time, and I think I'm lucky person to get to know you guys, because you are my heroes, my idols, and now I'm talking to you. And I used to watch, before all of that starts with me, I used to watch you guys and I used to admire you, and now I'm talking to you, and this means much to me, really. And thank you for having me, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I truly, truly appreciate I have you as friends. And
No, I hope you write more. I hope you do your TV show. Now you're going to be on Atheist Republic doing the Arabic show. I just hope you need that platform, because the other thing is you're so articulate, even on that TV show. And I can't stress this enough. People just go watch and go see the clip.
Where can they go see the clip?
The clip is on Memory TV. Just
atheist got kicked out of TV, and then
search on YouTube. Search on YouTube Egyptian Atheist Kick Out TV. Just search for that.
Just search Egyptian Atheist TV show. That's it. That's all you need.
Okay.
So the
Kick Out. Put TV.
So the way that you've done it, your command of, and I can sort of tell. I mean, there's another compliment. I can sort of get your IQ from this because I mean, you're obviously very articulate in Arabic. You say things exactly the way they need to be said. You are very articulate in English. Your English is like amazing. You are and now you're here. So you're sort of you're a treasure in a sense that you really, really need to. I mean, if you can write books, if you can write articles, if you can go on YouTube and do these things, do as many interviews as you can, speak at conferences, I'd be happy to promote everything you do. So.
And Halima is saying, Mohammed, you are definitely my hero. Mars is saying ditto to that. Judy is saying same here. Adluck is saying, Mohammed, if you ever make it to the States, you are welcome in my home. Oh, wow. Ed is saying, yo, Mohammed, visit us in New Zealand. The people, this is our patrons are showing support and love.
Yeah.
Oh. We have a very good patron community, by the way.
Yeah. And if you need anything, if you need any kind of support, if you need any like legal issue with your application, if you need any sort of a GoFundMe, if you need us to start that and help you, if you need any kind of financial support, everything that you need, just let us know and we'll put the word out there. Okay?
Thank you a lot, and thank you for all the amazing Patreons, and thank you, Ali and Armin. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
See you in a few days. All right.
This makes me so happy.
Okay.
Anyway, so thank you all of the patrons, all you guys.
Yeah, thank you everybody in the live chat. Thank you our patrons. But stay on. I'm just going to end the live.
Thank you for Troy Garnaut. I hope Troy is watching. Thank you, Troy, for everything you have done.
Troy Garnaut. Yes.
Troy.
Yeah, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, but
yeah.
No, that's right. You're right. So
thank you, Mars, Ed, Aaron, Judy, Halima, I'd like I mentioned. Bogey, Cecil. Sorry if I miss anybody. Love you all. Thank you so much for supporting Secular Jihadists. We really do need your support, so thank you so much for being a patron. If you're not a patron, link is in the description. Love you.
The Secular Jihadists have been made possible thanks to the Illuminati and the covert support of Israel and the CIA. That's what we have been told, but we haven't received our checks yet. If you like what we do, please support us. Share the podcast with your friends. Write and tweet us with topic and guest suggestions. Or head over to secularjihadist.com and give $1 or more for exclusive access to live video. Have your questions read and answered on the air, and more. Till next time, may the flying spaghetti monster be with you.